Drop your question. Drop your question. Ranra. What's up, Ranra? Ranra, what's going on? Champion. Mustafa. That's good stuff, Mustafa. Where'd you meet her? Letting Instagram story know. Liza, what's going on? Liza, are you happy I unblocked you? Are you happy I unblocked you, Liza? Let's see. All right. Ranra. Who's Mehlman? Do you mean Mehlman? It's not how you spell my name. Is 20 to 24 NBMEs a good thing to do? Guys, what do you think? Do you think 20 through 24 is a good thing to do? Ranra, are you new to my content? Have you like not had any point of contact with my content ever? I've said 20 through 32 is what you're going to do. Right? 20 through 25, free 120, then 26 to 32. Quace, good to see you again. I might do one of these live streams, like 12 hours displaced, so that I catch people in like the Middle East and stuff. Because I think all you guys are like United States, right? Maybe some Europe. I think there's Europe in here too. Aksa, what's up? Durga, I think it's the first time you're in the live stream. Guys, why don't you give the video a like? Now, you know what? Don't give the video a like. Let's not like the video. Just ask free questions. Ask questions, but you don't have to like the video. Don't worry. Champion. High yield points management, heart block. Well, you got to know all the ECG stuff for heart block, right? You know, you got to know the difference between first degree, Mobitz 1, Mobitz 2, third degree heart block, right, guys? That stuff that's pass level. So you got to know the ECG findings for first degree, right? Mobitz 1, Mobitz 2, third degree. You got to know that stuff. It's all in the cardiology PDF. Crazy Arabic name I can't read. What's going on? AHMQUN. Your step 2 is in 10 days. How to increase your score from 240 to 250? Well, my question for you would be, which NBMEs have you finished? Did you do 6 through 15? So I'm assuming with 10 more days left, you still have a few NBMEs remaining, but make sure you do 6 through 15 and free 120. That's what you're gonna have to do. You gotta consolidate around the NBMEs in the final 10 days. Gohar, what's happening? What's happening, Gohar Ali Zafar? Free 120 for step 1. You got a 74%. You're worried. No, that's a good score. So 65% is passed for step 1, as you guys know. 68% plus is what I want for buffer. So 74 is high, right? That's a good score. For step 2, a 74 is like a 240. Your exam's in 4 days for step 1. Fine. Andres. What's going on, Andres? Chinchilla. You want to purchase Mehlmanmedical deck and QBank for step 2. That's good. That doesn't mean you will, though, right? Sometimes people want something, but they don't necessarily do it. We don't look at what you say. We look at what you do. Liza, extremely happy you unblocked me. Nicolos, Mike, which concept is worth to really cement into your brain before step 1 except endocrine? Endocrine. And pathophys. Okay, so the path PDF. You can't fuck up any basic disease and like 5, 6 basic questions about it. I've talked about this. Okay? So any disease you can possibly think of, you got to be able to answer 5, 6 basic questions about it. And endocrine. Those are the two main things you got to be able to do. Any disease you can possibly think of, Duchenne, you got to be able to answer 5 things about it. Do you know the inheritance pattern? If you don't, you're fucked. Okay? Duchenne, XR. You got to know the difference between Duchenne and Becker. Like Duchenne's a frame shift, Becker is not. Right? Say the Gower maneuver. All that stuff's past level. But do you know what the DMD gene codes for? Codes for dystrophin. And you get alpha beta dystroglycan. And do you know what that does? It connects the cytoskeleton of the muscle cell to the extracellular matrix. You have to know that. So they can give you a vignette of Duchenne and the answer can just be cytoskeleton. Whereas a mitochondrion would be wrong, for instance. Mitochondrial disorders are lactic acidosis, eye, ear problems, and hypotonia. And of course, you got no heteroplasmy, all that stuff. So you got to be able to answer these basic questions. Right? 5, 6 basic questions about any disease. And you'll be ready, in addition to endocrine. Manfreni Benicius. Hi, QBank Mehlman only or Anki together? I've said the most potent score augmentation will come with 40 to 80 questions, untimed tutor random, Mehlman QBank, followed by at least 4 hours of Mehlman Anki in the evenings. And then there's an asterisk, which is that if you're poor, then you can do the free PDFs. There's still 11 out of 10. Doctrine. Thanks, Dr. Mike, for years of incredible content, Yosemite. Taha. What's going on, Taha? Abdullah, what's happening? Hey, Mike, loved your video title, Adversity Forces Changing You. Why don't you make more of those? I mean, I could. I mean, I was talking about my med school days. It's good stuff, right? It's good stuff. Chris Tron. Mehlman, I love you. Shout me out. Hey, Chris Tron. Are you Vietnamese? Tron is Vietnamese. Mustafa, meeting her in a cafe, brokey game. Well, that's the way to do it. Why would you take a girl out to eat when she'll ghost you? So just take her to a cafe. Simple cafe. Women, if you want like a good date, if you want a $200 dinner and stuff, then don't ghost dudes. Some problem solved for everybody involved. Stefan, I'm getting good scores on UWorld, but still feel like I'm guessing. What can I do? The answer is just continue doing questions anyway. So whether you're getting 30% correct and you're guessing, or whether you're getting 80%, you're doing really well, the answer is just do more questions. Siddiqui, good to see you again. Usama, third-year medical student, struggling with immunology, microbiology. It's annoying because when you're on clinical rotations, you're not going to want to be co-studying for step 1. I literally just put out a reel on that like 2 minutes before going live here. Some of you, third year is not like rotations. I know some of you are in like 6-year programs, or, depending on the country you're in. But if you're struggling with immunology, do the immunology PDF, 11 out of 10. If you're struggling with microbiology, you're obviously going to do the modules and cards that we have that are great. And then Mehlman QBank is loaded with microbiology. If those of you doing Mehlman QBank right now for step 1, those tree diagrams, it's really clutch, right? You're getting a lot of those questions wrong and you're like, fuck, I got to know these like organism taxonomy, these questions on organization. Those were all me. I spent like an afternoon doing all that micro. Durga, Joud, you're Saudi. Crazy Arabic name with a crown and number 3 next to your name. You're from the Middle East, though. Yeah, I could infer that. Because you're saying that. Okay, I was saying that these live streams, if I do them 12 hours earlier, for instance, I'll hit like completely different Like you guys are showing up every day. It'll be completely different people if I do 12 hours displaced. Liam, what's going on? Bilal, they inflate NBMEs. Or first aid is gold standard. Daughter, what are you saying? Are you not happy that the Mehlman PDFs increase your score? Would you rather read something? Yeah, do that. Read first aid and don't inflate your scores. Don't get increased NBME scores, and don't get increased inflated score on the real deal. It's a good idea, right? Right? You don't want an inflated real deal score. If you're worried about Mehlman PDFs inflating your score on the NBMEs, are you going to worry when they inflate your score on the 2CK? My 258 was inflated. I think a lot of people would be like content with that inflation, right? Jaden, thanks for being a member. I know you're a member because your name's green. Everyone else's is gray. Okay, no question, Jaden. Durga. Ernie Chakri. I gotta go back to your question, Ernie. Okay. What is best strategy for step 2 CK with your free stuff in Anki? You got 4 months, easy. You gotta do QBank first of all. So Mehlman QBank, that's gonna take you not long, maybe a month and a half. It's 2450 questions, 2 CK. You'll do the CMS forms, all of them, 2 per day. You'll do NVMe 6 through 8 offline, 2 CK. You'll do a second pass of all the CMS forms. Free 120, 9 through 15. Easy. And then you use the PDFs while you're doing QBank in the evenings. So you finish, let's say, 40, 80 questions a day in the evening, or in the afternoon, and then in the evening, you're going to do the PDFs and the YouTube questions. Mohammed, Maruf, Barney, what's happening? Barney Contando, thanks for being a member. Barney. Jana Johansson, what's going on? Where are you from, Jana Johansson? Where in Europe are you from? I'm just making assumptions. Actually, like Johannes, it sounds like Johannesburg, right? Like South Africa almost. Hamza, it's my favorite time of the day, not gonna lie. Lord, is there a PDF for Derm? Guys, do you know if there's a PDF for Derm? You ready? You go to the free stuff tab and there's a PDF on Derm. Crazy Arabic name. First time in a live, but your videos are great, man. Thank you, Crazy Arabic name. User 2020, thanks for being a member. Your main Anki deck has a lot of micro and farm in it. Do I still have to do the micro and farm decks in addition to your main deck? Question mark. Or do I benefit from the modules? And just do everything. Problem solved. Zoma, as a poor boy who can't afford your biostats course, what can I study for biostats other than you can't afford $50? Like, what is your life like if $50 is like out of your reach? I'm just curious. Like, are you living with cockroaches with like 6 people? Like, what are you doing if that's out of your reach? That's my question. I mean, do the biostats free PDF. I mean, I can empathize. Like when I was in college, when I was in med school, I was eating like canned tuna a lot, but that was because it was healthy also. It's like healthy, but it was cheap when you're a student. Barney. Follow-up from question yesterday. If you get over 68%, 3 NBMEs, 2021-22, could I sit the CBSE next month even though I have done these NBMEs previously? No. If you've done the NBMEs previously, the scores don't mean shit. You can redo them for the sake of like, reacclimating to the NBME question style, but ultimately we need the new NBMEs, the ones you haven't sit, so 24 upward. Liza, you're starting rheumatology rotation med school while simultaneously starting step 2 prep. Do you think I should start with rheumatology from your QBank? Just do random mode from QBank. Just do random mode. You could start, this is what I want you to do. Just do random mode from QBank, and then do the rheumatology PDF that we have. We have anatomy, MSK, rheumatology PDF. Just read that. You don't have to like specifically do subject specific rheumatology. You don't have to do that. PDF will be good. And then you can do the anatomy MSK questions on the YouTube here. Noah Overstreet. Happy to catch you live. Thanks, Noah Overstreet. Dahlia, what's going on? Does someone have a good score in UWorld like 70 to 90? Mustafa, why do you think I'm unable to hear from my left ear? It happened overnight, LOL. Let me ask free noob questions. Do you have any ringing in the ear? Do you have any issues with balance? I'm assuming you don't, because you would have said that, because that would have been very alarming. But you can have like asymptomatic viral infections that cause labyrinthitis or vestibular neuritis. I doubt you have Meniere. It could be earwax. It could be cerumen buildup as well, right? You just have some cerumen. It's earwax in your ear. It could be that. Or it could be hyperacusis on the right side, but I doubt that, because you have facial nerve palsy simultaneously on the right side. It's probably just like earwax, or it's probably what it is. If you had recent viral infection, though, labyrinthitis maybe. Dahlia. Liza, do you think I should do QBank and your PDF simultaneously, or QBank first? And I already said, I already answered it. You're gonna do them simultaneously. They do QBank first in the day, 40, 80 questions in the day, and then you'll do the PDFs in the evening, right? Aqua 1X. How do you select a username like that? Like, what thought matrix are you engaged in when you create a username that you're like, I'm gonna create Aqua 1X. Hey, Dr. Mike, I am a second year med student out of 6 years. Any word of advice for me? I'm an American citizen. I would like to specialize back home. I feel lost as I don't know what to do. Any tips? Thanks. Same as everyone else studying for step 1 is you're going to have to do step 1 QBank, and you're going to do the Mehlman PDFs, the Mehlman YouTube. Not complicated. Aqua 1X. MMC0807. What would be a safe percentage for NBMEs for step 1? 68 plus. Yeah, you're averaging 68 for the last NBMEs 1 month out. There you go. So just keep up 68 plus. Jawad Al-Khatam. Thanks. Bilal. Yeah, I didn't understand. If you said you were joking about something, no, I didn't catch your joke. Red Devils. I can't find the Anki for step 2 to purchase on your web. It is the same for step. There's step 3 people doing the Anki. So they're for all the steps. Believe it or not, okay? Believe it or not, aortic regurg is aortic regurg for step 1 and step 3 and step 2. Still going to be a diastolic murmur on step 1, as it will be on step 3. Bicuspid aortic valve causing aortic stenosis on step 1 is bicuspid aortic valve causing aortic stenosis on step 2 and 3. So this notion that there's so much disparity, it's really not the case. Yeah, you have some management cards, but I'll write 2CK3 only on those cards. If I don't specify, then they're for all the steps. Rust. What did you get on step 2? It must have been 270 plus. No, I already talked. It's on my website. I got a 260, but it was back in 2014. So this with score inflation, when I sat, the average was a 232 on step 2. Now it's like 250. So when I sat, a 260 would have been like, it was impressive back then. It would have been like getting a 270 today. It was like decent. Like, I was shooting for like 280, which would have been like 270 back then. But scores are inflated now where, I don't even think you have to be smart to get in the 260s now. But back then, never happened. Now it's like People are getting high scores all the time. Shakib, what to do in your last month of prep? NBMEs. I did not do QBank explanations religiously. Also, first day is exhausting to retain. For the last month is NBMEs. All the NBMEs. Khalid, 1 week remaining for the internal medicine shelf. 300 questions remaining. In QBank, CMS form 72 and 78. What should I do now? Well, you're going to do all the IM questions from QBank as you're doing, and then you're going to do all the CMS forms twice. And you'll want to do the internal medicine PDF. I'm assuming you're not doing that because you haven't mentioned it. And you do the internal medicine questions on YouTube, but you've only got 1 week. So it's got to be pretty much the CMS forms I'd consolidate around at this point. Your name is Muhammad El Adawi. Ain't that crazy? Nasser. Do you have any info about AMC? I do not. Is it easier for an IMG to become a doctor in Australia? No, it's harder because to work in Australia, you basically have to like go to med school there. It's very, very, very difficult as an international to get placement in Australia, even if you do go to med school there. They don't have a USMLE equivalent, so you can't like merit your way in. That was an annoyance when I was in med school there. Like, granted, I didn't end up staying there, but that was an annoyance that like there was no way to get an edge. Like, you could be an international student who did very well in the program, and there'd be some domestic student that would like get where they wanted to in terms of a placement for intern year just because they were domestic. So people talk about like the US where like IMGs are supposedly at a disadvantage. In Australia, it's like absolutely way worse. It's way worse. And they're very, very like pedantic about Aboriginal culture and understanding there, where like you learn a lot about that stuff in med school. Like sensitivity to like Aboriginal communities and stuff. If you're an international going to Australia, you would go to like, you'd end up in a weird rural location, which arguably could be better, to be honest. But you'd end up in like in a bushland. You'd end up in the bushland, pretty much. But that is arguably better. Adrenaline, good to see you. Can we totally skip first aid? And yeah, you can. You can. Asha Taneja. What if I can't afford the QBanks? What else can I do to pass my third try for CBSE? Well, when are you planning on saying it again? You said you already did first aid in UWorld. You just kind of killed your own argument there. You know what I'm saying? So you did UWorld already. So it's clearly you clearly have the capability, unless you jacked UWorld, like unless you're doing it offline or something, right? But believe it or not, the things that are going to increase your score the most, which is Mehlman QBank, there's a price on it. It's because it works. Just do the free PDFs then. Pegasus, good to see you again. You did 20 to 25. Should you go through them again? You already finished squeezing 26 to 31 in 8 days. What about free 120? What about 32? And when is your exam? Time is complex. I'm not a medical student, but I enjoy watching your videos so much. That's cool. How did you even like subscribe to this channel in the first place is my question if you're not a medical student. I mean, I had prior communities. Maybe you're one of my in my prior community. Maybe that's how you got here. Marvelous. How do you study so efficiently if it feels illegal? The first 6 hours of your day should be your most important work, pretty much. Okay? You have to figure out like what time of day you work best. Do you work best in the morning? Do you work best throughout the night? Like when do you work best? And it should pretty much be the first 6 hours of your day. Nikhil, ready. You're getting 58 to 60% NBMEs. Your exam's in 6 days. How do I increase to 65%, please? Which exams in 6 days? Your step one or your CBSC? Because if it's your step one, you 100% need to postpone. Absolutely do not sit your step one if you're only getting 58 to 60%. You need to be getting 68 plus on at least 3 NBMEs to sit step one. 65 is a pass. So do not sit. And if you have your comp, it is what it is. But step one, absolutely do not sit. Aqua 1X, I got my name from when I was a competitive Fortnite player. Aqua was my name and 1X was organization I was a part of. Ume. Does having an attempt on exams prevent matching for USIMGs? No, you can match. It's just you can't have entitlement. So you can't say that you're going to go do dermatology at Duke. Okay, that's not going to happen. So you're going to have to apply broadly, family medicine, internal medicine. Apply broadly. Okay, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Montana, South Dakota. South Dakota, be great. Be great. Be awesome. Probably some really good views. Nice farms. You know, probably tougher people out there. Right? You can't have entitlement. You got to apply broadly. So preliminary years, transitional years. HEBA. Do our second time NBME scores matter for step one? No, because you've already used the NBMEs, so the scores aren't reliable, but you can redo them if you need to reacclimate, right? Like if you failed step one, for instance, or you've exhausted the NBMEs, you might have to revisit them. You can always do 19 and earlier as well if you need new exams. Sadika, thanks for being a member. Your name's green, everyone else's is gray. Jowd Al Cotton, do you like Japan? And do you live in Japan? Yeah, I live in Japan. I live in Osaka. Yeah, I mean, there's great things about Japan, and there's things I do not like about Japan. It's super, super safe and super, super clean. So you can walk outside at night anywhere, even in the supposedly most dodgiest areas, and you're completely safe. There's no guns here. There's no guns. So what are you afraid of? Some 5'6" Japanese guy who's like 75 years old, who's like who drank and is like kind of rowdy. What are you afraid of? So, you know, if I'm on the street at night, people be more afraid of me. You know, I'm taller. But Japan, what I don't like is that everyone is scared. There's a fear culture. I'd say about a third of people still wear masks. I'm not joking. I think of it as like a burqa, basically. It's like they want to be hidden. You know, COVID, they had an excuse. Now it's like, no, you just want to live in fear and you want to hide. So you got people who just like, it's a fear culture. It's an avoidant culture. It's all about like, interacting in public is not acceptable in Japan. Like that's where it's gone. That's where it's trended toward now. So when you get outgoing people like me, or like if I have friends that like we notice a transition between like pre-COVID and post-COVID, where like it used to be very like it was an amazing social place pre-COVID, and now it's sort of like everyone's sort of just in their smartphone on Instagram and like they don't interact anymore. I don't think that's unique to Japan. I think that's like a lot of places. That's global. But like Japan, you know, as I said, you got a third of people who are still masked. It's very clean, very safe. You can get like very good sushi for cheap. Good Korean food here. Okay, good teas. Things aren't loaded with sugar. You can get lots of different like sugarless teas. You know, and like the States or in Australia, it's like a wall of diabetes. Like everything's loaded with sugar. You get tons of different teas here. Healthy stuff. Good stuff. Good steak. Really good steak here. Not the Wagyu stuff. That's like touristy, like branding stuff. You just like good steak in general. Marvelous. Let's see. From the perspective of step one with a literal 0 baseline in med school, 0 biochem, was there a question? If you have 0 basics, the point is you're still going to have to go through QBank. That doesn't change. Ahmed, your QBank score is 67%. You've done 2,300 questions. Should you take NBME now or wait until you finish QBank? You should just finish QBank and then do the NBMEs. Abel, thanks for your awesome content. You're an IMG with a weak foundation, just starting to prep seriously, feeling like you barely make progress, reading FA and making questions. Are you reading Mehlman PDFs? Because you're in a Mehlman live stream. It always intrigues me when there's people who like are in the Telegram group or they're like in our content, but they like don't know about like the content. 2, 3, 4 steps, how to prepare for step 3. Long discussion, okay? How long ago was your step 2? I'd want to know. And you're going to have to start the CMS forms again, the ones you did for 2CK. If you did them, you're going to have to do those for step 3. You're going to have to do all the 2CK forms. The NBME forms, again, for step 3, yes. You're going to have to do CCS cases, 3 per evening. They take 10 minutes each, so you're a half an hour per night on the CCS cases. Okay, you're going to have to do all that. And Mehlman step 3 QBank. 2, 3, 4 steps. Siddiqui, is there any other Telegram group information that can help us? Quadruple question mark. With regard to what? With regard to what? Hassan, people say to learn from QBank, but no joke, how to learn from QBanks? By just doing 40, 80 questions per day, untimed tutor, random blocks of 10, and not obsessing over every detail. Don't try to memorize, don't take notes, don't annotate, don't make Anki. Just be efficient. And then do Mehlman PDFs or Anki in the evenings with the YouTube clips. Deepak Sharma, happy Teacher's Day. You are one of the best tutors. Thanks for all of you, all you do. Thank you, Deepak. Syed. Step 2 in 4 weeks. NBME's pass range 220. How to increase my scores 240 plus. You used UWorld, CMS, Mehlman PDFs. 4 weeks. Redo the CMS forms, and you're going to have to do 60-15 and free 120. Pegasus. You got 100 out of 120 on free 120. Okay. And then I had to like interpret your English. NBME 32 tomorrow. Yeah, just do all the NBMEs. Yes, you're going to do 20 through 25 also. So you have to do 20 through 32 as well as free 120. Yes. Dana Petsy, your explanations in QBank are excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Dana. I think you just got the QBank, didn't you? There was like a Dana who just got the QBank. Sonia, would you recommend completing Mehlman QBank step 3 before doing NBMEs? Absolutely. You're always going to do QBank before NBMEs, always. Never do NBMEs before QBank. You already completed UWorld 53% exam in December. Your exam's end of December, okay. I'm assuming you're working as a doctor right now. That's why your exam is so far away. But yeah, you would do Mehlman step 3 QBank before the NVMEs, absolutely. Chris J. Mike, your content is elite. It might be underappreciated because it's free. Okay, we can increase the prices on things if you want. Any thoughts on adding video explanations to your test bank questions? The answer is no. Another way to distinguish your product, yes, but the answer is no. There's a long discussion. I don't want to get into the business too heavily. Okay, you got the video QBank here on the YouTube. That's your video QBank right there. Right? People are in a different headspace when they are in actual QBank. It's a different psychology. It's like the reason, like if you saw an Instagram reel on like a Facebook post or something, your brain wouldn't interpret it the same way. Versus if you're on LinkedIn or Twitter, it's like the psychology is different. Okay, I post the reels as shorts as well on YouTube, and I'll post a reel that gets me like 300 followers, and on YouTube it gets like 2 followers. So people are like different psychology, different places. And I think in QBank, it's not really the place for people to like be very, very slow with like the video explanations. Like people kind of want to get in and out of QBank. Like you're doing your block of, like if you're doing a block of 40, but your 4 blocks of 10, it's like you just want to get that shit over with. It's about speed. You don't want to be like watching videos on everything. Like I thought about that in the beginning. Trust me, because I'm aware that if there's anyone in the world who can do that, it's me. But it's not really efficient, and it's not scalable, because it's like it's only me who can do it at that level. So, but you got the video QBank on the YouTube. You got a free video QBank, and you got free PDFs. And even though we could technically charge for PDFs, I think that's stupid, because if they weren't free, then you wouldn't even be here in the first place. So for every one person who pays $8 for PDFs, there's 999 people who'd be like, fuck that. And they're already all over the internet anyway. Okay, so you got to have like free content. Like in 2025, 99% of what you put out has to be free. That's how it works. So the YouTube, it's all free. This live stream right now is free. If you want to do a half an hour Zoom call, that costs more than 6 months of QBank. So this is free. Nasser, which residency is the easiest to match in the US, and what are the most important qualifications? Family medicine is traditionally the easiest, and in locations that are not big cities. And TCK score is the most important part of your application. Champion, which is better, medicine or farming? For some freelance job, create some business. What is the most potential to make more money than neurosurgeons? I don't want to get too explicit about like business and all that stuff. Let me see. Of course, the chat moved on me. I was saying like a couple days ago in the live stream that most of you go into medicine not because you're passionate about it, but because it's low risk. You can get societal approval, your parents will approve, and you make 6 figures. That's why people do medicine. It's low risk, 6 figures, your parents approve, society approves. And you're like, yeah, I'll help people. And overall, you can have that fulfillment. But let's not be confused, because if pumping gas paid $800K a year, you'd have people lining up to pump gas. So let's not pretend that medicine's your passion. It's about cash, low risk. That's why most people do medicine. And dad approves, mom approves, okay? People approve. That's why most people do medicine. Business, higher risk, but way more upside, unlimited upside. Okay, you can sleep when you want, wake up when you want. You don't have to answer to anyone. You can be as controversial as you want, because you don't have some fucking boss that you have to worry about. And there's just unlimited upside. The trade-off is that you have to make content forever and not stop. You don't mind doing that. You can't ever stop. You always have to work. You can never stop working. But that's where it comes down to A-level people. They like to work. Like if I'm not working, I feel like weird. Like I like to work. Helena, for non-US doctors, what are your recommendations for 2CK? The same as those who are US. So if you're already a doctor and you're outside the US and you're studying for 2CK, you would do QBank 2CK random untimed tutor mode. After you finish that, you would still do the CMS forms. And you're going to do NVMEs 6015 and free 120 Helena. Fear leads to more loss than failure ever will, ? Do you agree with this assessment? Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty standard. So fear just means inaction. Failure implies action, but willing to have setbacks. And you have to be willing to have setbacks. Yes, that's pretty standard. Yes. It's about speed and doing. That doesn't really apply to me at this point. That's like people who are like very, very stage 0 novice. Like, I'm afraid to make a reel, right? I'm afraid to like do my first piece of content. Like, that's kind of the early stuff. Jowd. I agree, Japan is amazing. I loved it. But Osaka, no, I disagree with that. It just means you weren't in the right places. Jowd. Means you're in the wrong places. Did you go to Dotonbori? Did you go to Shinsaibashi? Did you go to Umeda, Namba? Where did you go? Because there's boring places here, but maybe you're in the wrong places. It's like saying I went to New York. I went to New York City and it was boring. Yeah, where in New York City were you? Where were you? Were you in Queens? Were you in Staten Island? Were you in Flushing, or were you in like Soho? Or were you in like Times Square? Where did you go? So it's like completely different vacations depending on where you go. Roy, Mike, any recommendations for learning how to publish on my own? Ideally, a quick and easy way to learn and publish a high number of papers so I can be a competitive applicant. No one is confused by your bullshit papers. Okay, so I've talked about this as well, that people embellish their research garbage. So your 24 papers that you somehow pump out, somehow you found some journal, some makeshift journal that's willing to do that. No one cares. How do I know this? I'll tell you. Because anecdotally, like I've had students before with like crazy amounts of research and decent 2CK scores, and like they don't match in a competitive specialties. And that told me like the 2CK score is what mattered more. Okay. I've had people with like obnoxious amount of research, dermatology, like 40 papers, and then like decent 2CK score. Not great, like decent. And then like they don't match. And it's like, well, your bullshit 40 papers didn't matter, did they? So it's not just all like my opinion. I've seen it. There's anecdotes. You're going for Rust, you're going for neurology next cycle, going for 260 plus when you sit in December. You've been going through both UWorld, Amboss, CMS, each rotation, Anki, now during your QBank. What else should I do? We'll finish our QBank. And then after you do that, you want to do another pass of all the CMS forms. Okay. I'd also be looking at our YouTube playlist for 2CK. Podocin, NVMe 25 2 weeks ago, 26 a week ago, 73, 81 respectively. Very good. You've registered planning to take the exam in the first week of October. You're reviewing system-wise. What should I do next? The answer is it doesn't matter what you do next because your scores are high enough where you're good. You're good. So first week of October, just make sure you finish 20 through 32 in free 120. That's what you have to do. And I would move your exam up, quite honestly, because you can pass already. You need 68 plus to be safe, and you're already way above that. Omar, you haven't finished UWorld 60% through. You mostly read from first aid. Your NBME score so far seemingly safe. I'm 5 weeks out. Should I finish UWorld? 5 weeks out. Make sure the terminal 3 weeks are all the NBME exams. Okay? And also go through Mehlman, ARAS, endocrine, and PAP PDFs. Ranra, should I do 20 through 24 in exam mode always? I just put out a reel on this today. So you always are going to do the NBMEs as though they're the real thing. Never do them in a tutor mode type of fashion. Yes, you're going to do them times. Yes. Shakespeare, start management of hyponatremia. Yeah. Let me scroll back up. It's an inside joke because I talked about it in the live stream prior that like our notes aren't constructed around helping you on rotations per se. It's just doing well in USMLE. Okay, so on rotations, they might ask you for the different causes of hypovolemic, euvolemic, hypernatremic, hyponatremia, etc. We don't care about that for USMLE. Pegasus. Thank you, Dr. Mike. You helped me so much for step 2. Absolutely. We'll do your QBank. Thank you, Pegasus. Sonia. Yes, you're a resident, but I want to increase my scores on QBank, therefore planning on doing Mehlman QBank before doing CMS and all the NBMEs. Should I do those 1 month before exam? Finish Mehlman QBank at least a month out, yes. CMS forms, well, I don't know what your schedule is like. I don't know how much time you have to study. But your sequence is going to be Mehlman QBank, then the CMS, and then the NBMEs. Right? And the CCS cases are spaced throughout in the evenings. Don't wait to do the CCS cases. Make sure you do those longitudinally, 3 every evening, 10 minutes each for those. 2, 3, 4 steps. You took step 2 in 2024. Should you finish QBank for step 3 next week? Oh, you should finish it. You want to move straight to the NBMEs, but I guess I find time to do CMS. Thanks for everything. Andrea, thanks for being a member. I love the QBank. Thank you, Mike. Andrea, what's your favorite color scheme in the QBank? / color theme? Dana, Patsy. Like, does anyone do Sakura Sunrise as like their preferred, like is that how you go through QBank? Sakura, does anyone do Sakura Sunrise or Sunset Sync? Does anyone do those? Before the QBank went live, I had like some other weird themes, but I deleted them. I had an energy drink theme, but I deleted it. It was like a crazy neon theme, but I thought no one's actually going to use that. No one's like literally going to use like a fucking bright yellow neon theme when they're doing QBank. Like, so there's a difference between like, this is weird, like quirky and cool versus like, please, like, is anyone actually going to use that? No. So I deleted it. That's like a piece of trivia. That's a piece of Mehlman trivia right there. Okay. If someone like mentions that in the future, that's like points. They'll be like, You're a Mehlman. You get points. You're a Mehlman fan. That's like points right there. Like, do you know what QBank color theme existed that Mehlman deleted, notably? And I'd be like, fuck, you knew it was an energy drink theme. Dana, you semi-recently got the QBank for step 1. You completely dropped Amboss. Yours is far superior. Very good assessment, Dana Patsy. That is true. That is very true. You know, people say like, Mehlman, should we just do your QBank? Do we need to do UWorld Amboss? And my response is do both, because the juxtaposition where you can have your UWorld, your Amboss there in comparison and say, Mehlman's is better. That's more powerful, isn't it? Than just the absolute, you're doing Mehlman on its own. You can do both, right? If you're neurotic, if you're apprehensive, you know, you're like, I don't know though, should I do, are you sure this is, are you sure? You know, are you sure? No problem, do both. And then you'll see ours is better. That's how it works. 2, 3, 4 steps. I wouldn't have passed my steps without you, and now I'm in residency in the US. Thanks, 2, 3, 4 steps. Heba. Thanks, Heba. Hager. Do I need research in the USA to match in neurology as an IMG? Probably not. Just a good 2CK score. You're only talking about competitive places that you need research. And as I already harped on, it's sort of embellished. People know it's embellished. They would probably, people, if you go to an institution where someone is legit interested in research and the applicants, they would look at journal first, is my suspicion. Okay? Not like the, you know, the Journal of Punjab Neurology. Nothing against Punjab. I'm sure there's great non in Punjab. Okay, but like they would be looking at top journals first and then be like, fuck, this person's in this top journal. Wow. And then they would look to see your authorship. But even good research can't override, it can't supplant a mediocre 2CK score. Rashid, what do I mean by low risk? If you're new to the live stream, we were talking about medicine versus business, and I was saying most of you who are are going into medicine not because you're passionate about it, but because it's low risk and you make 6 figures and it's approved by society and your parents. Okay, so your dad and your mom are happy. Our son, our daughter is going into medicine. We're happy. And you make 6 figures and it's pretty low risk. Now, what you're asking, what do I mean by low risk? Okay, the buck doesn't stop with you most of the time. Now, we'll say the buck always stops with us as individuals. We take our own responsibilities. You're a doctor, and yes, the buck stops with you for the patients you have, and you have to be a good practitioner in that sense, yes. But if you quit hospital, the hospital goes on without you. There's no like collapse of a business, or nothing really collapses. It would just be like you quit and now you're sitting at home and like the world moves on. High risk means that there's more on the line. Like your income is more attached to your actions persistently in terms of, you know, conveyor belt of content creation, et cetera, when you're in business. But the upside is far higher in business. I don't want to get too explicit about like certain business things. I don't think it's a good idea to get too explicit. Thank you, Abner, for becoming a member. Let's go back up. Did you say you do use the Saku to Sunrise, Dana? Is that actually what you, if you're still in the live stream, is that actually what you use? Like, do you actually, have you just like kind of, you know, tried it out? Or do you like really go through blocks of it? I'm curious. Let's see. I use the Mehlman theme. I use the maroon theme. most of the time when I'm on it. Let me scroll back up. Caso B, your basics are awful. You want to give step 1. How long should you prepare? 6 months? No, 4 months. You do Mehlman step 1 QBank, you come out and you literally just do NBMEs 20 through 25, free 120, 26 through 32. But you'll do Mehlman PDFs in YouTube while you're doing the Mehlman QBank. Mashia Jafari, you're intimidated to learn biochem and neuro for the first time. Is reviewing the PDFs and Anki enough? The answer is yes. How much time should be dedicated to learning? Minimum 8 hours a day. Love the content, appreciate the help. Jowd Khan, do your QBanks have long explanations like UWorld? We have some questions with longer explanations, some questions with short explanations. So there's a variety. There's a variety. And we have a team. So there's different people who do different things. So there's questions I do, there's questions that other people do, but whom I've trained. So there's high IQ people working on it. Now, in terms of long stems, if you're doing the step 1 QBank and you encounter some very, 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 very long stems, that's me. That's no one else, that's me. I did one today as well. I spent like 30 minutes writing like one question because it was like fun. So if you encounter those long poetic questions about different lakes and rivers, that's me. Okay? The question, Big Sky, Montana, that's me. Sabika, I'm doing second pass of CMS, first week December. I don't like how this is worded. You're doing second pass of CMS forms. Your step 2 is in first week of December. Should I go for your QBank or start doing NBMEs 11 through 15? Always do QBank before NBMEs. You've already done 6 through 9. Should I start the QBank now? Okay. You can start the QBank now, yes. I don't know, you say you're on the second pass of CMS. I'd want to know like how deeply involved you are on that pass, but you could just do a Mehlman QBank now, come out, and then pretty much just go back on to redo 6 through 9, but we wouldn't care about your scores because you've already done them. And then we could have you do free 120 and then 10 through 15. Abner, I thought I had to wait until I had a solid base to go through your PDFs. The answer is no. But you keep watching your QBank videos here on YouTube anyway. You don't have to like have a base to go through the PDFs. Like the purpose of the PDFs is to learn for the first time. The tables. The bullets, you're not going to understand if your knowledge base is poor. But if you're learning for the first time, the tables are good in the PDFs. Abner, by the way, I've always wanted to visit Japan. I'm glad to hear you're doing well over there. Can I book my eligibility period even if I didn't do any NBMEs? You could, but you just got to make sure you study within that window. That's all. Hassan, when you say like 8 hours of study, do you mean continuous study or taking 8 hours of unprocrastinated hours study? So like if you do 4 hours somewhat straight and then you need a break, and you know, it might be 10 hours that it takes you to do 8 hours of study, if that makes sense. 8 hours of actual study in a day, minimum. Nasser, so you say that if we get a good step 2 CK score, we don't have to have research papers, question mark. The answer is yes, you don't have to have research if you have strong 2 CK. That is correct. It's only at very competitive institutions so you have to worry about stuff like that. Hassan, Kareem, people talk about your content inflating scores. I don't agree with them, to be honest, but what do you have to say about it? I already talked about that in this live stream. I already talked about it. If you're studying the right material, your scores are going to go up. So if your scores are inflated on the NVMEs, they're going to be inflated on the real deal. And are you going to be complaining if your real deal score is inflated? If you get a 263 on the real deal and it's inflated, are you going to be complaining? Okay. Hassan, John, is it worth it to delay step 1 until late October if NVMe scores are in the low 70s or 80? That's very high. That's good. You need 68 plus. Guys, it's been an hour, so we're going to wrap this up. But let me just maybe look at one more question. Champion, will the shelf bank questions be different from step 2 QBank or some overlap? Like, what's the thought process behind the shelf bank as a supplement to step 2 and also step 3, not just step 2? Okay. But you're gonna want to boost in certain subjects. So when you're on rotations right now, like someone asked, how do I prepare for internal medicine? And what's our typical response? Our typical response is like, do the subject specific questions from QBank and then do the PDF, the YouTube, the CMS ones. But we're going to be able to add 1,000 questions on that one rotation topic to help you honors that rotation. And you can do that for all your rotations. I'll help you honor the rotations. So if you're post-grad, you can sort of like cherry pick. You can do them all. But if you say, wow, I really suck at obs-gyn, I should do that one. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, do the obs-gyn shelf QBank. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we're working on 1,000 question mini shelf QBanks right now that we're going to release within 2 to 3 months. So FM, IM, EM, PEDS, obs-gyn, surge, neuropsych. We're going to release all those within 2 to 3 months. Let me answer one more. How do you not get pissed at all these people watching your shit and asking the same shit all the time? That you sort of realize that's what you have to do. Never be a content creator if you can't handle talking about the same dumb shit. Okay. And I was saying before, this is why 99% of people who start making content, they fail. It's because if you start a YouTube, any of you, if you start a YouTube and you're like really motivated and you're like, I'm going to make this awesome YouTube. This is fun. After maybe 2 months, it's no longer fun. And then it becomes like work. It becomes like going to the gym. It becomes like doing your QBank blocks. Okay. So every time I make a YouTube clip, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that. But the lessons are that these things translate across your life domains. So like if you're going to the gym all the time, that discipline, you'll be able to study when you don't want to, the same way you go to the gym sometimes when you don't want to. Andrea, you think Ivy Circuit is your favorite? That's a good one. Yeah, I use like Mehlman theme and I use Ivy Circuit. Does anyone use Midnight Pulse? Oh, here's another piece of trivia. So you know how I was talking about the energy drink theme that I deleted before the launch of the QBank? You want to know another piece of trivia? Do you want to know the alternate name for Sakuda Sunrise that I ultimately didn't go with? Pastel Pulse. So we were going to have a Midnight Pulse and also Pastel Pulse. But I decided to just keep Sakuda Sunrise. All right, guys. I'll do some more of these.